Well, jeepers! You're listening to Smash or Pass with JayBee, Millie, and Smash.
And Rihanna.
Hi.
I've just dropped my headphone.
Well, that's a good
We're doing
start.
great. We are doing great.
Okay.
Why would you slam the desk when we're recording on the desk? Oh, that's mad,
It's
that is.
taking some time today, okay? Okay.
So clearly Millie's having a good day. But I guess
in today's episode, we are reviewing Scooby Doo and the Gourmet Ghost. So this was a first watch through for JayBee and I. Rihanna, I know you said you've seen this one a couple of times.
Yep, I'd say pretty much about 8 times now, I think.
Okay. And Smash, is this one that you've seen a few times as well?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, great. So for those of you like JayBee and I who hadn't, should I say, seen this one before, or for those of you who haven't seen this one for a while, in Scooby Doo and the Gourmet Ghost, it's quite like a historical one. There's the history of Chef Edward DeLisle. They were around in like the time of the war, and some history transpires that they'd kind of been communicating well with both sides, and that had some conflict that ultimately was to be researched and resolved throughout the storyline. Along the way, Mystery Inc. go and visit the ancestral home where there is this kind of TV show cooking experience getaway going on, and the ghost of it's the red ghost, appears and starts to kind of interfere with some of the technology and ultimately kind of trying to cover up the history of what happened at the start of the kind of timeline. So that's kind of, I'd say, a summary, right, JayBee?
why is it like you've not recorded for like 5 years?
I don't know, it feels like it's been a while, I don't know why.
If this is anyone's first episode watching this, please dislike this video. No, you're doing amazing, Millie. You're really good.
Do you want to do the intro? You good?
Yeah, okay, so this is the Scooby Doo movie in which they couldn't get Gordon Ramsay.
You need to stop saying that.
Oh my god.
Well, I don't know. I like this Bobby Flay geezer, actually. I don't know their career, but throughout the process of this movie, they're actually pretty good. So maybe I will try a few of their recipes sometime, because I need to get back in some shape, you know. I've been just binge drinking water. It's all good there. It's all good. I still look bloated AF. How about you, Millie? Do you like this Flay geezer?
I don't know of this Flay geezer until this movie.
Okay.
But I'm going to say what I think Smash said last time, which is this is the first one that I think I'm going into not knowing whether I'm saying Smash or Pass.
All right.
So,
I definitely know what I'm saying. Well, I think I know what I'm going to say. I'm not sure.
so one thing that I like about this movie is the very start of it. So we've been going through a bit of a collaborative time with like the Batman movie and that kind of thing, and one thing that I liked about this one is right at the start it goes back to formula. We kind of get some
Back to formula.
old history. We meet Chef Edward DeLisle. They're out collecting their ingredients. We get the cold opening with the red ghost, the red-eyed kind of shadow, which is the red ghost, and then we hit the titles. So for me, that is very kind of old Scooby, formulaic, the style that I do really like. So JayBee, I know the only thing I've heard from you so far about this intro is you didn't like that it was a red monster again because we had the crimson cloak last time.
Yeah, I mean,
How do you feel about the opening?
I mean, obviously that's just us going at it through this order. I think if you know what I mean, like if I'm a kid, if I'm a teenager, if I'm literally just popping into HMV impulsively, the chances of me buying the Batman movie and this movie at the same time and then watching them in that order is relatively unlikely, but it's just something that I noticed that it was just so similar to the villain from last time. I was a bit like, oh, I mean, there's so many colours, could we not make it the yellow ghost or the purple ghost?
But as I pointed out, yellow's not an intimidating colour. Red's kind of associated with danger. Like, if you think about hazard signs or signs to draw attention, they're always red.
What a green ghost? Green's quite scary.
Yeah, but green's supposed to be quite neutral and relaxed.
You know what they should have done is made his like primary color black, and then the accent color is red.
Ooh, look at me like, oh, what's that? Hedgehog? No. Like, there's only the
Isn't
hedgehog
that
thing
what-
that looks like that.
Yeah.
Shadow.
Knuckles.
Shadow. Oh, or is it Knuckles? Well, Knuckles is red. I think Shadow is the. Well, it's primarily
yes,
black, isn't
yeah.
it? And then there's the red kind of.
Yes.
Ooh, that would have been a good idea. But yeah, it's just something I noticed. Other than that, I actually thought that the cooking animation was a bit on the corny side, but I loved it so much. The way that when the kind of saucer or like the pan hit the stove, and it kind of did like semi-realistic flames and the searing sound. I really liked it. It made me a bit hungry, but yeah, I liked all of this intro. The only thing I didn't really enjoy was the fact that it was another red floating phantom shadow type demon, but I liked it in the Batman movies, so I guess I'd like it here as well. I just a bit samey.
Smash, what did you think to the intro?
You know, I don't know. It just felt very, and I don't know if I said this while we were recording last episode, but this movie just feels like it goes very much more back to like original Scooby Doo, and so I don't know. I enjoyed it. I enjoy kind of just. I don't. This movie I wouldn't say is scary. There's just at times like an eerie feeling, but you know, overall beginning I was like, okay, this is gonna be fun. And although there were still guest stars, it wasn't necessarily a crossover.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Like, I feel like at the start, it started like a. So I don't want to like generalize them, but for me, it started like a Scooby Doo movie. Like,
Yeah.
cold opening, title, shot of Mystery Machine. It's just that nice little formula that I'd become accustomed to. Rihanna, did you enjoy the intro?
Although, my one issue, when I first watched it, I thought that he said that it was the bread ghost, which sparked a lot of puns. And then I learned after the fact that no, it was the red ghost. And I was like, I originally turned to my mum and I said, the ghost could have been like bready or not, and I was so many puns and yeah. But I enjoyed it. It just took me back to that classic Scooby Doo formula. You can't go wrong with it because as much as like we do like changes every now and then, we know what's going to happen and we know in some ways what to expect. And one thing that I did actually like, and I really like the fact that it took us back. So it's like a period kind of where it goes back into history and we get a full like view instead of it being flashbacks later on. And I really enjoyed the music, like it being all instrumental, and then we got to see the changes in like the town as it grew throughout centuries. I just really loved it, and other than the whole bread incident at the beginning, but yeah, it warmed my heart, and I really did love how they got the cooking animation so accurate, as close to real life as possible, and that I feel like they did a great job on that.
Yeah, I think they did a lot really well with the intro. I also enjoyed that kind of history thing. Like, I don't know if this is a good movie to reference or
Isn't
not.
this literally the history of when Smash's lot beat your and Rihanna's lot?
I was more gonna like make a reference to the Witch's Ghost at this point, say that I enjoyed that kind of, that historical thing where they almost add. Is the colour I'm thinking of like, is it called sepia or something where they make it look slightly older so you can get that time differential?
Oh, like the filter of the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is almost like the digital version of doing a teabag on a bit of paper to make it look older.
Oh my god, when the titles happened, I got taken back to every bit of like history homework I'd submitted ever because the titles were literally that, where it looked like the paper had been coffee stained at the edges.
They look to me like Legend of Zelda titles. The kind of metallic red with the gold around it. I was like, oh my gosh, there's a gaming reference I could throw in.
See, I agree with what Rihanna was saying. I loved that way that they progressed over time as well, throughout the titles, where they started to do some more building, then they renovated the initial house. The only thing that I wish I could have changed about the titles is for all the instrumental was beautiful. I really love iconic Scooby songs.
True.
Wait, was it iconic?
No, like this one was just like an instrumental. Like
Oh, good.
I like it when they do something like iconic with the titles, but I guess if it's the historical piece, it's kind of maybe not that fitting to like have something like the Hex Girls like screaming out an intro song. But
Yeah, and I guess to be
do like that
fair,
about Scooby.
it actually is quite a scary villain. For all, again, it's a funny movie. I think a more eerie type of vibe for the opening titles is better, and also I love how it almost gave you a tour of like the passing of time. And I think visually, maybe not like sound wise or even tone, but visually I think it's one of my favourite opening titles like ever.
I like the positive note from you here, JayBee. I wasn't expecting it.
Why?
Because when we had to watch this, I'm going to be honest, JayBee was like, don't want to watch this one. Don't want to watch this one. And yesterday I was like, we're watching this one. We're doing it today. Like, we're doing the watch through. Get your notebook. I was like, I don't want to watch this one. So I'm just happy to hear some positivity.
I mean,
I've got that coming in 2 weeks.
yeah, because I was going to say the opening titles of that movie, 5-star.
What, Return to Zombie Island?
5-star, the opening.
No way.
The titles of that movie are like, they're just so good. The music, the visuals, like...
Look, you and smASH weeks ago, months ago even, came up with a concept for Return to Zombie Island, like Terror Time Again and all that kind of stuff. That was a concept I'd back. Anything other than that, if the titles aren't Terror Time Again or something like that,
Well, why can't we
Pass.
write it? We could write it and then like read out a chapter every week on the podcast. I'd stick around for that more than the, you know, let's do it.
So anyway, JayBee, the part of this story is you did watch this movie, and so far there's some positivity, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, it's good. The titles are really good.
So after the titles, like I was kind of saying before, we get that nice formulaic thing. The mystery machine is on the road heading to like their destination for the movie, which is Fred's uncle's house, and that's like the descendant's house from the history that we saw before. So,
Can I interject at this point? Because I'm going to say what I said to Millie. Obviously, I've had my opinions about the Gordon Ramsay thing, and maybe that's just because my limit on famous chefs and celebrity chefs are very limited. But, okay, I think that this is a huge missed opportunity. Freddie Prinze Jr. literally has a cookbook, and I believe it was released either a year before or a year after this movie, so it was in the works. I think it would have been the coolest thing in the world to have Freddie Prinze Jr. as the, quote, chef in this movie, even if it was to gratuitously promote the heck out of their book, because, like, a Fred being the uncle of Fred, I think would just be so amazing. A bit like Casey Kasem being Shaggy's dad in Mystery Incorporated. And it annoys me that I've got so many ideas for who could have been this chef, and I just think that would have been a cool idea, and I'm sad that they didn't do it.
that would have been a very good idea. It would have.
I'm sad, but literally, Prince's cookbook is on this desk now. Why couldn't he do it?
One thing that I think is funny at this point is you can almost see how sad Shaggy and Scooby are that Fred's like related to all this cooking talent, and they've been around him for 50 years and he's not made them anything. Like, you can see them looking at Fred like, come on, what happened to you?
Yeah,
like, if
he-
he's a descendant and he can cook, what can you do?
Oh, he's just a disappointment.
Disappointing. He's keeping all his talents to himself.
Yeah, like, who cares about traps? They want a good, like, dinner. Just go cook.
Exactly.
But ultimately, I kind of think it's interesting usually when we meet some, like, ancestors of, like, the gang.
Yeah, it's a bit inconsistent, you know, like you've got, I think it was in Pirates Ahoy where Fred's got a different, you know, dad to in Mystery Incorporated, vice versa. And obviously there's like Shannon Blake, who was really funny, who's never mentioned again. But it's nice to make that kind of celebrity appearance tie in with the main story in the same way that you could almost imagine Bobby Flay being a fictional chef, that it just doesn't feel like like with the Kiss movie, we're here to to overly glorify ourselves. They're just a person, they're a character in the movie, and I think that's why at least the start of this is actually really working well for me.
Yes, I agree. This is something I appreciate that they've done, because like smASH, I think, said at the start, it's a collaboration movie, but it's not. Like, okay, there's a guest star, but it's not Scooby Doo and Billy Fillet. It's Scooby Doo and the Gourmet.
Billy Fillet.
What's he called?
Bobby Fillet.
That
Bobby.
Oh,
I'm having a bad day.
Billy Play.
Bobby Fillet?
I think it's because recently you've just watched an awful movie and it's fried your brain.
Yeah. JayBee had me watching a scary movie today. It wasn't good.
It was awful.
So it's what happens when he searches Sarah Michelle Gellar. It's a bad addiction that needs to be kicked.
It's not an addiction, it's a passion.
So yeah, as I was saying, it wasn't like Scooby Doo and Bobby Fillet where like they had to make some corny entrance where like
Fillet?
Fillet. I can't.
Yep, he's a fillet.
Fillet is the prequel.
Great, JayBee.
Bobby Flay.
Bobby back on. I can't cope today. I don't know what's happened to me. Okay. So yeah, they could have made a really like corny start where like he was like, you know, where everybody was made to know how famous he was. Like there was paparazzi, there was like press, like they were getting loads of photos taken, and like they could have made it into this thing where it's like, okay, firstly you need to know how respected this guy is before we continue. They just let him seamlessly kind of fit into the story.
Yeah, like obviously Shaggy and Scooby freak out, but you get the impression that, again, if it was a fictional chef, Shaggy and Scooby would still be like, oh my gosh, this person makes like tasty food, like please make us this, please make us that. Like that's totally in line with Shaggy and Scooby's character, which is a big win. And there's also this creature that Bobby Flay has that, and I don't know what it is. I called it a dog slash cat slash Eevee, but I love it and I want one.
Oh, nachos, they're so cute.
Nacho. Do you want
They
one?
made me want a cat.
But you don't want a dog?
I love that.
It's such a cute cat.
It's a cute cat.
And I also like Rihanna was talking about like the puns of this movie. So with it being called Nacho, when Shaggy and Scooby first walk into the kitchen and he's like, that's nachos. And obviously there's like nachos and like a huge like, there's just so many jokes that's used surrounding that it was just kind of like, I don't know, it was like they tried to add a level of comedy in, right?
Yeah. I'll agree with that.
I said to my mum when this was earlier when I watched it with Bobby Flay, and I said, wouldn't it be funny if he was a sous chef? Then he could be called Souffle.
Oh,
Like,
that's mad. I'm so glad that Rihanna's audio picked up for that, because that was genuinely amazing.
yeah, like as you started to talk, JayBee looked at me and smiled because your audio has literally just turned absolutely perfect at this point as you said that, and yeah, that would have been funny.
Oh, this is my therapy session.
What did everyone think to the robotic cooking room?
It scared me to death. I don't like it.
I was like, this is an invitation for an absolute disaster, because I just feel like, I don't know, I think I'm really old-fashioned, and I'm from like a really old town that still looks like it's in the 1800s, but like I feel like technology scares me a bit, and it was like this is literally like a robot. You can tell that what's going to go wrong in this movie is that's going to get possessed and it's going to do some damage. And quite honestly, some of it's just laziness, right? Like there was just a whisk robotic arm.
Yeah, like I don't know why it was there, and it's interestingly enough because I thought it sounded a bit creepy, a bit spooky, but I think it's actually voiced by Griffin, which I found out in the titles.
Oh, the little screen with the smiley face.
Yeah, all of it was a bit whack, and I didn't enjoy any of this, and I think I've become more, like, well, obviously I've become older as I've aged, but I've become increasingly more boomer-like. Like, I used to make fun of my mum for not knowing how to send an email, and now she's better at technology than me, and I just think that every time technology is involved, it's just, it's like an open door to hackers and perverts.
Okay.
So I'm scared. I don't like it. What?
It's like,
I'm just scared that you're going to open that door because in the Camp Scare episode, the amount you used that word was just alarming. So I'm just praying that we're not reopening that door. I'm so sorry.
I don't know what's happened to Millie.
I don't know what's happened to me either. I'm not good with horror movies, okay? And then you've booked us in to see one tomorrow and it's just not good. Okay. Smash, what did you think to the robotic kitchen?
Millie,
Yeah, okay. It's one of those things where it's like I get it. They're trying to, be quote unquote up to date and like keep Scooby Doo hip and whatever. But I just feel like for this in particular, and like any kind of thing that they try to do this way, it's just overboard because it's like there's nowhere you go in the world that's just like, oh yeah, I stand here and look pretty while this robot does all the cooking for me. Like, I don't know. So I mean, while when I watch it, I don't really mind it. It's still just not like what I want.
Yeah, I feel like I almost got confused by it, like, because it's introduced as like a cooking lodge and like a cooking retreat, but then it's like it's also like
Yes, we good.
a holiday home. Like it's a holiday home and a cooking retreat, but then it's also like a TV show. So I was getting confused as to like where it wanted to go with this, whether they wanted it to be that like all these couples could go and cook together here, or if they wanted it to be like this celebrity chef's kind of stage almost. Rihanna, how did you feel about this kind of set?
Yes,
I have a slight issue with it, mainly because did no one learn from that episode of What's New Scooby Doo with the flipping house that
Yeah.
got attacked? That
High-tech
episode
task force.
haunts me. And I don't trusting technology with knives and cooking equipment. It doesn't work because they're going to kill you.
Okay, you brought up that episode, and let me just hurry and say that episode still makes me terrified of mirrors.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I'm not the only one.
Then again, though, that episode gave us like a billion Daphnes in one scene, didn't it?
For God's sake.
Actually, yeah.
So I think big win for that AI, If that's AI, then I'll be on board. Generation
AI
TikTok,
doing its
here
thing.
I go.
One thing that I also found funny in this like first scene when they go into this cooking room is that couple that hates Shaggy.
Oh, that was actually hilarious. But on reflection, I don't quite know why. Now, I know that it's a celebrity couple. There's a model and a chef. I thought that Shaggy went over to their kind of signing booth on like, when they're doing like, they released a book as a couple or something. But he just went with the woman's book to kind of simp after her. But it turns out that he went with a book of another person that was at the event. So it's like, okay, I think it's funny that, you know what I mean? And obviously I love them both, okay? But I kind of joked on my head that it's like if I went to a Comic-Con and Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. were there together, it would, honestly, it would be amazing, but it would be a bit one-sided, I think it's fair to say. And I thought that was what was happening here. But like, why would Shaggy go to this event with someone else's thing? You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't go to a Stephen King signing with an Enid Blyton book, right?
Do either of you know?
I didn't understand it because I thought it was funny, and then I just thought, oh, well, maybe Shaggy's just a bit of an idiot.
I feel like potentially the goal was to get. I think they must have worked with her. I don't want to mispronounce her name because I tend to do that with names. So but I feel like he went and asked them basically to get her to sign the book for him because they must like be in contact or something, and they get really offended because they're like, "How dare you not be a fan?" And you know, that
Mm.
kind of vibe.
Yeah, okay.
To be fair,
I
that's
do
so
get
something
that.
JayBee would do. Like when we sent
Yeah.
the Funko Pop box
Oh,
off to
no.
Sarah Michelle Gellar, he was like,
No,
to
it's
Freddie
not-
Prinze, he was like, "Do you think like I should put a note in it so she can sign something as well?" I was like, "No, don't do that."
But a part of I'm wondering if their ego must be a bit hurt though, because I missed out on a GalaxyCon signing that no one told me about. But it was while we were making Scooby things, and I didn't have one relative talk to me. Oh, I'm angry actually. One day I'm gonna get my revenge. But Freddie Prinze Jr.'s send-in service was like $80, but I checked on like the archive website and stuff, and to send in an item to her to sign it, it's like $175. So it's like if that was us, Millie, if we became famous as a couple, and my autograph was worth $80 and yours was worth $175, obviously like toxic masculinity, who needs it, yeah? But I'm just thinking like, would you make fun of me for that? Like, there's got to be a bit of like a, ha, look at this, I could just write and I made this much.
No, because I feel like you'd be too sad about it.
No, I wouldn't, well, nah, I'd probably say.
Like you'd probably refuse to work with them again. Like, oh, they've only valued me at this. I'm like, oh,
No, honestly, if I
okay.
if I ever became famous, I would spend more or less 24/7 signing stuff. I just think it would be so much fun. Although I don't have a signature. I don't understand how people get signatures. Do you have one? Does
Just
anyone have
squiggle
one?
your name.
Like, I think, like, you'll see from Sarah Michelle Gellar, like, the more famous you get, the shorter you make it. Like, at the minute, mine's like, you know, the first initial of my first name and then my last name. And like her, she used to write Sarah Michelle Gellar, and then she just trimmed it down to Sarah Michelle, didn't she?
That's a recent thing. I think she did that.
Just because, like, I think if you get famous, you get fed up of having to write it out so many times.
Fair enough.
Well, yeah, it's
They must
lucky.
get real bad writer's cramp.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah. But it's lucky for that Matthew Lillard because his signature is really nice. But I almost felt that, like, say, comparing the Inkworks cards for Scooby Doo 2, which was in 2004, and his signature now, it is very much just him writing Mr. L, which is awesome. But I think it was a little more elaborate back in the day. So I think you're probably right. And again, you've got to take into account where people acquire these autographs. Like,
Yeah.
if they're like stood outside and they just sign it lopsidedly versus at a Comic-Con table or a send-in service.
Yeah, but I guess at a Comic-Con as well, they're going to look up, see the queue of 150 people and be like, okay, let's do this quickly.
But yeah, there's this signing going on, and after Rihanna explained that, I actually think it's funny again. I started off thinking it was funny, then started off thinking it was confusing, and now I think it's funny again. So that's a point for Gourmet Ghost.
Okay.
May I point one thing out that for some reason, and it clicked again today, I feel like something about the audio when everyone's speaking, sometimes it doesn't actually come through as clearly. Like, it's hard to understand what some of the characters are saying in some ways. I don't know if that's just like my DVD was playing up or something, but sometimes, like with I think it was the model woman, sometimes it was a bit difficult to understand what she was saying.
I don't think I picked up on that. I think I picked up... Ooh, no, you know what? Didn't I pick up on something?
You said that the screen was darker than
No,
normal.
that was with the Batman one. I could have sworn I did notice something in this movie, but I don't remember if it was that. But thinking about it, it could be. I'll have to watch it again and include it in the description or something, unless... I don't know, how recently did you last see this, Smash? Would you remember audio stuff?
Honestly, I haven't watched this one for at least a year or so.
Ooh. Yeah. I don't think I'll... Well, I don't think I'll be
Don't
in
say
a
you
rush.
won't watch it again, because then you're giving your little verdict away.
Well, I don't think I'll be in a rush to watch it, you know? But, you know what I mean? We'll see. We'll see. There's always a
Okay.
chance.
So, what do you think, JayBee, of Nose on Nose Worthy?
So this Noseworthy was a bit of a shady character. I think I kind of knew that going in. Maybe it was my own personal bias because they looked a bit on the goofy side. But instantly, I'm kind of thinking it might be them, especially because they said that I don't know if it was their opening scene or not, but it said that they were fired recently. So I was thinking, okay, well, even though he's being able to live in his house rent free, surely that's motive for something. Maybe that's a bit of a grudge that he could have, you know. But again, just a kind of kooky character. They're kind of like the Lester of this movie, just a bit of a bizarre presence.
See, I've not put it in my notes, but when we meet them, but there's also the real estate guy who arrives as well.
I just called him the fella in the suit. I didn't have a name.
And instantly I was suspecting them because in Scooby Natural, I think it is, they say it's always the creepy real estate guy. So it's like, yeah, there they are. Any thoughts on them, JayBee?
Nah. I just thought they were a bit shady again. I think both Newsworthy and the suit guy, they were just shady, and so I like how there was a mystery, because I was genuinely, maybe this movie for the longest time in a while, I think this had me thinking the most. I was genuinely thinking, okay, so every time that this happened, you know, the lights were flickering, and this guy's on his phone at the same time. Could he have like tapped into the wires and kind of, you know, you get like smart houses that you can press a button on an app and your lights go on and off. I was thinking it could be that. Equally, I was thinking, you know, it's the suit guy that isn't here with everyone else when the ghost is present, or it's also Newsworthy who isn't there when the ghost is present. But oh look, I also suspect the sous chef, but she's here with this at the same time as the red ghost. So more than I want to say since maybe even something as early as Camp Scare or Abracadabra Do, maybe even before that, I'm thinking a lot more about the mystery of this, which is again a big plus.
Rihanna, did you have any thoughts on Noseworthy or the real estate guy?
With Noseworthy, and just a warning, another pun which just came into my head. You know, I was trying to sniff out those clues. But I was like, you know, in I think it's the musical The Vampire, the guy who starts telling the story, why can't I remember his name? He like lives out in the swamp. For some reason, I got like him vibes, and I was like, he can't do it. Like he's being too forward about the whole ghost and everything. And then with the guy in the suit, I was like, I think it's him, but I think, and I have this really terrible situation with mysteries in general. Like we have, I don't know if you would have heard of it, smASH, or even you, JayBee and Millie. On ITV, there's Midsummer Murders.
Yeah, my sister loves it.
I get the killer so quickly, and I don't know why. It's like some kind of osmosis stuff that's happening or something. But I seem to very easily get the person. But I was like, the guy in the suit, I was like, I feel like it's him, but I also think that there's something else behind it. Like, is it someone posing as him? You know? And I was suspicious of everyone at the beginning, and then slowly narrowed it down. But Noseworthy, I was like, yeah, no, it's not him. Definitely not him.
Yeah. This is a complete sidetrack, so I apologise. But talking about TV shows in the UK especially, I think, and like mysteries and stuff. Rihanna, do you watch Death in Paradise?
I do.
Yeah, we watched that and we absolutely love it. And like I feel like there as well, when you were saying like working out who it is quite quickly, JayBee and I literally like have this thing when we're watching this where we have the TV control next to us and we literally pause it the second either one of us has a theory or anything. And I think we do quite well considering they normally leave like the biggest bit of evidence till the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of fun, and I think with Scooby being a mystery solving kind of premise, it's always good when there's a mystery. And I almost feel like maybe sometimes that gets lost. More often than not, that aspect of things gets lost because it's either too much the fact that it's last minute, like you say, like there's a big reveal, but no matter how clever you are, you could never figure it out using evidence. Like probably you could guess. It's either that or it's so obvious it's just like not fun. But I really do like the mystery in that.
smASH, did you have any thoughts on Noseworthy or the estate agent?
So I feel like the estate dude was, I don't know, I guess a little too obvious, but the twist, which I won't get into yet, I think, added a little more of like, oh, okay, type of thing. As for Noseworthy, fun fact, because you were talking about how it reminded you of the Bayou guy from Music of the Vampire. They're voiced by the same people, actually. The same guy, Jim Cummings. But I feel like Noseworthy was one of those obvious red herrings where it's like, okay, the movie wants me to think it's you, so it's obviously not you.
Yeah, I think that they were like, what do you say, they were too like at the front of things, but also in a really just, you kind of feel sorry for them and they're a little bit crazy kind of way.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the next bit, they're kind of having this barbecue outside and there's that little doggy bag kind of scene, which is kind of funny that Shaggy and Scooby have these like personalized faces on their bags.
Yeah, that was nice. It's also, I think, around about that time that we get the first glimpse at the red ghost. It's like spooking around in the hedges.
One thing that I like that they did with this is it wasn't that Shaggy and Scooby saw the red ghost first, went in screaming, and everyone was like, oh, you're crazy. Like, no one saw the ghost for a long time, and I feel like that's kind of, I don't know, like, I kind of like that they did it differently, because I feel like when you watch other kind of maybe scary movies that are about ghosts and stuff, it's more about a feeling or a shadow than actually seeing something. And I just feel like that's something that they played on really well in this, was like people's fear at feeling that it was there but not actually seeing it, and it not been like, oh yeah, Shaggy and Scooby are crazy, they're not seeing anything.
Yeah, it's always the imagination. It's eerie more than anything, because I think it's obviously standard animation, but I feel like they almost did something a little bit different with it. I think maybe it was lightning or something illuminated it for a second, but you almost got a more detailed, kind of pseudo CGI look at them. And I just love it. I was there for it. And then, well, for all they don't see anything, I guess that leads on to them being very scared about stuff. And it almost reminded me a little bit of the Monster of Mexico when everyone's just going to bed that night, just a bit spooked.
Yeah. Rihanna, do you have any thoughts on kind of like the ghost thing, that for all it's there in the background and they didn't really see it for a while?
Gave me, it's kind of Monster of Mexico vibes, but also Legend of the Vampire. You know, when the eyes are first seen in the bushes, I think it was, and Shaggy and Scooby, like, they kind of saw it, but I feel like it's more of a feeling they got, and then they ran because they didn't freak out as much as they would have. But I got chills, and it was like, oh, this is getting interesting. And I feel like the drawings on the doggy bags of their faces, I feel like that took me back to the older cartoon style. There was something more simple about it, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, it was really good. smASH, do you have any thoughts on kind of this section?
This is something I wish they would do with the villains a little more. Because, I mean, kind of like you were saying, Millie, it's like, because, I mean, you look at the ghost in this movie, and, I mean, okay, he's on the front cover, so you already kind of know what he looks like. But I mean, just looking at him generically, like, at least for me, he doesn't look that scary. But, like, when you do stuff like this, where it's, like, in the shadows and you can't fully see it, or you get this feeling that it's watching you, or, or, like, I love when they do it with, like, phantoms, kind of like Phantom of the Opera-esque type thing, where they'll be talking or something, and then it kind of, like, will pan out, and you'll see his cloak, like he was listening, and then he just ran away or something type of thing. to me that really makes it like creepy, because it's like it's there and you don't know it. Or like you guys were talking before, like if Shaggy and Scooby see something, it's like, okay, well, we know something's there, but we have no idea what it is. And I think that's in fact scarier than knowing what it is, because it's like your mind is just like, well, it could be a million different things, and you can't, disregard the supernatural, especially in Scooby Doo. And so I don't know. I just, like I said, this movie isn't necessarily scary, but it adds a good eerie atmosphere at times.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think like it's certainly exemplified in the next bit where like even though they haven't seen the ghost, they won't eat the food in the bags. They're like, we're too scared.
Yeah,
We just can't. And Velma's there like, okay, just, maybe calm down a bit. And like, even though they've not seen the ghost yet, their fear levels are still just as high as when they have. So it's kind of, I just think that this kind of plays on a few different like emotions, thoughts, and things that, I don't know, I think they've done it really interestingly, and I've not really seen them do it that much this way before. Them and food kind of leads on to the next scene where they go to the kitchen, and this for nachos is one of my favourite scenes because they share the sandwich with them, and I was like, oh, that's so cute. Normally they're like tricking each other out of each other's sandwiches, and like he was like, hey, look over there, and then he still Shaggy's food as well. And it was just so cute that they were sharing this sandwich. I don't know why I liked it so much.
It was a very, very polite and sweet cat to share their food. That's what I'll say. I wasn't expecting it though. I thought it was literally going to be like a classic like cat-dog situation where maybe the cat was being a bit sneaky, trying to keep it for themselves, which, fair enough, but then it would just lead to like Scooby chasing them. But it was sweet how it just dished it out.
I thought until this point that Nachos was a bit of a snooty cat, in that like when Scooby got stuck in that rug, I felt like it was kind of like belittling him a little bit when he kind of had to be rescued. But when they were sharing this sandwich, I was like, oh.
Snooty cat.
Smash, any thoughts on Nachos?
I have to agree, because I feel like a lot of times when they introduce another animal, especially from like one of the guest stars or something, it's like this animal is praised and it's almost used as to like almost exemplify that Scooby-Doo is so imperfect and that he's just a dumb dog and whatever. But, Courage is different, but, this is kind of a semi-similar situation where, the cat and Courage, like Scooby, Shaggy, and them all were just having a good time together. And I just love when they do that. Like, not to bash on Zombie Island, but I'm going to. I hated that Scooby just did not like the cats and was so against the cats. I was like, this isn't Scooby-Doo. Why does he hate these cats so much? And so to me, this is more Scooby-Doo. And like, honestly, if you watch classic Scooby-Doo episodes, a lot of the times it's random animals and critters that start the fights, And so then Scooby's the one like chasing it down or whatever for whatever they stole. And then they get into this mischief, and Scooby's a peacemaker. He's like, I'll chill with all these other animals, and so I loved seeing that. I thought it was cool in general that they brought Bobby Flay's cat into the movie, and so I thought it was fun.
Yeah, it's fun, and
does the cat exist?
Yes, it's a real cat.
Wait, it's a real cat? Is it on Instagram? Oh, I need to go on Bobby Flay's Instagram. Wait, this thing's real?
His name's Nacho Flay.
This is like something the Egyptians would worship.
I think, agreeing with what Smash said about Zombie Island, and as well, I feel like they contrast it so frequently, because like you say, in this one here, they've got no issue being around a cat. In the live action one, Shaggy literally has to scream, don't eat the kitty.
Yeah.
And it's oh, okay.
This is crap.
But yeah, in this
It
one,
looks nothing like the animated
it
cat.
does.
It just looks like a standard cat.
But it's like a cool, like, genuine cat.
Yeah, but in this movie, it looks like a Pokemon. This is trash.
Were you expecting to see a real life Pokemon?
That's why I was intrigued that it was a real cat. When they say it exists, oh my gosh, that cat exists. I wasn't expecting, like, to get Garfield over here. No.
Sorry to burst your dreams.
Oh, that's upset me.
Okay, so moving on.
Don't die.
JayBee's just dropped his
What
phone
just
on his
happened?
foot.
Oh,
Oh,
is the phone okay? I'm just kidding.
Well, the phone's probably still got that wretched cat on it. I'm not here for that.
Moving on to the next day, we see they're all going on the TV show. All the gang get their cooking outfits.
Chef
JayBee, do you want to
Daphne.
address any of your notes here?
Chef Daphne. Again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. There's so many Funko Pop potentials in these movies, and yet they've only made one vaulted Daphne Funko Pop. Oh, Funko, what are you
How dare
doing?
they?
Like, I love the Roast Scooby, but you didn't need it, man. Like, no one needed that. It's great, but no one needed it. Please, we need another Daphne one. I pray you'd. Oh, yes, okay. Please, live action versions for Funko Pops, like their outfits from 2002, released as part of the anniversary of that movie, because it's literally like the 20th anniversary this year. They could have 20th anniversary special editions, and that's what. Luna Ghost Funko Pops, please, Funko Warner. I will do anything you ask. I will say that the Kiss movie is my favourite movie of all time. I'll get a Kiss tattoo on my arm. Please, just come out with those Funko Pops.
we'll stop
damn it.
bad mouthing your marketing team, Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
We'll delete the reunion episode.
We'll renounce it.
Oh gosh. Another cool little thing they do at this point is when the TV show starts, they say live from coast to coast. And obviously little Zombie Island coast to coast thing. I was like, woo!
Coast to coast with Daphne Blake.
Did you guys also see at one point, I know we're not really there, but since we're talking about it, hanging up like in the lobby, there is a portrait of the Moonscar Island mansion from the Zombie Island.
No,
Yes.
I did not notice
saw
that.
that.
Ooh. Yeah, see, this should.
They were warning us that Return to Zombie Island was happening.
They literally were. They literally were, and then in the next movie, there's even more signs of it that we'll get into.
Mm.
It shouldn't be our show, really. Can we give it to Smash and Rihanna? Or,
Yeah, I quit in 2 episodes.
or if Daphne had a cooking show, would it be Toast to Toast? With Daphne Blake?
Yes!
You did the cooking show. It was Dinner with Daphne.
Oh my gosh, that series.
Here we go. I'm
one-
gonna send you guys that picture.
No one watched it, but I'm so proud of that whole series, you know. I love it.
If you've not seen it, for JayBee's birthday, I got him a Sarah Michelle Gellar cookbook. And when his parents went away so he had access to the kitchen, he decided to do a Dinner with Daphne series where he got a starter, a main, and a dessert from the cookbook. I think I chose them. And he had to make all 3.
I was meant to do it for Freddie Prinze's cookbook in December, but I couldn't. It was going to be like Food with Fred or something. And it was going to be another 3-parter. I'm hoping something crops up in the near future where I can do it. Hopefully when we get moved out and we've got a kitchen, I want to do it there. But yeah, like the 3rd part of that cooking series had a full-on like Daphne simping montage. Like there's like a funny skit where we had to like leave food like kind of settling for 3 hours, and I was like, what are we gonna do in that time? And I'm watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, reading a Scooby Doo 2002 book. I'm dusting the Daphne Funko Pop. I'm like praying to the canvas. Like, oh, it was such a. I'm so proud of that series, and 0 people watched it, and I was sad. But if you're listening to this, please do me a favor and watch that because it's banging.
Or at least the dessert one, that was funny.
No, that was that had the skit in. Skip to the skit, but the first episode was the best, I think. The first episode was elite.
What did everyone think of the sous chef?
The soup chef.
Because I've just called her Horrid Helga because I didn't hear her name and she was intimidating.
She's like the demon dinner lady from Horrid Henry.
She's the sous chef Sue. I love it.
Oh.
She was like, I'm going to just chop straight to it, you know. She was scary though.
Yeah.
And her hair was crazy, but
Oh
so
yeah, that
many
was a funny
puns.
little scene, you know, when they were trying to like style the hair and it just kept popping back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, and when
I
Shaggy
feel like
and
we've seen
Scooby,
that somewhere.
yeah, and when Shaggy and Scooby are like eating the food, she's literally like more of a threat than the ghost is in this movie. Can it be added? She was like chasing them around with a knife.
You know,
Yeah.
in I think it's the Mr. Hyde episode with the cleaner. She reminds me of her.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, you're right. We do need to watch these episodes. Because I remember Mr. Hyde. I'm not sure if I remember a cleaner. Well, why do you look baffled?
Yeah, she's like an acrobat as well, I think. She like used to do that, but like she had sous chef Sue's vibes.
What was it that sous chef Sue said? It's like, anyone make fun of name, I arrest you, or something like that. It was just so funny. But yeah, this is another thing. There's so many movies that I can think about in this, like, just after doing this series, where we've just thought that the villains, or like the side characters, were just so bland and boring. And I think an example of that is probably Chill Out Scooby Doo, where
Oh, that was awful.
I didn't care about any of those characters. But here,
Yeah.
I'm actually really liking some of the characters. Like, I'm not saying I want to go on like a date with Sous Chef Sue, but definitely I could watch them do like some comedy stand-up performance. Like, they're engaging enough. The only one that did annoy me a bit though, and I don't know the name, but it was that wacky one with the sleep apnea machine. That was Elton John.
Oh yeah, he was a bit
Oh yeah.
crazy.
Like, I did like them at the start, but I feel like they kind of had a shtick that was a bit. It kind of overstayed its welcome a bit, but they're the only one.
Especially when the movie, like, not to skip to the end, but especially when the closing bit of the movie is literally just them with their sleep apnea machine.
Just kidnap them,
It's
don't
like, don't you, like, just, you don't need to be in the mystery machine. You're not one of the gang. Get out.
You know when sorry.
No,
you know
sorry.
when we first saw him with the sleep apnea machine in the bed and everything. I was like, oh my gosh, we've seen this before. It's another Scooby Natural moment. There's going to be a beheaded body there. Don't do this to us.
Oh gosh.
I
no.
freaked out.
Oh, it was a bit like quite scary because like my mum's had like sleep apnea tests and stuff, so she had like oxygen masks and all that kind of thing, but it never looked like that. Like, it wasn't. He looked. Did you not think part of it looked almost like a bug's face? Doesn't he have like red eyes and then like a red like shape here too?
It reminded me of something, and I can't remember what. It almost looks like the cicadas from Straight Out of Nowhere, actually. So where are we now? Because
We are at the bit where you're told, I think by the groundskeeper, that the ancestor was a traitor. And to me, at this point, that was just like, okay, so what's going to happen here is that they're going to have to prove that they weren't a traitor, that they were innocent. It's like Shaggy's Showdown. Like, they have to clear the
Oh.
ancestor's name.
yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't get that at all. But it's kind of contrasted because it seems like even in those discussions, Fred really didn't seem to care if his ancestor was a traitor or not. Neither did Bobby Flay, for that matter.
No, if anything, Bobby Flay almost seemed like he wanted to sell at times. It was just like, maybe.
But at the same time, I kind of like that from a point of view where it's not like they were trying to make excuses or get like too irate just because someone that they were related to didn't necessarily, they weren't exactly what they thought. I'm glad that the movie didn't spend too much time with like characters brooding and pondering over like oh, what if like I'm related to this awful person? Like it kind of worked for Shaggy's showdown, but for this, I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm glad they didn't linger on it.
Yeah. And then we meet Henry Metcalf, who's the person that wrote the book Velma's carrying.
Who I suspected, but for none of the correct reasons, because they were like, oh, I'm really happy to know that someone's finally got that book, and Velma's just like, oh, actually, this is just a library book. And so I was, again, flashing back to a previous movie, which is Music of the Vampire, where it's like, could this be like a Van Helsing situation where they're just trying to make a scandal, or they're trying to boost book sales, or they need more money because their book isn't selling?
So also at this point, Rihanna, I know you mentioned that you had an issue with audio. I had a little bit of a visual issue at this point. Velma's walking towards the guy, and from the back, she's wearing her like normal jumper. Then when the camera flips around to face her, she's wearing those chef whites. And I don't know why, but when I watch movies and anything really, TV shows, if there's stuff like that, I see it and it annoys me, and I pause it and I rewind it, and I'm like, JayBee, look at this. But like, to me that was a bit of an issue. Like, I just don't understand how mistakes like that happen, because at no point in this, from the halfway point of the movie, is she wearing this orange jumper. Like, she's consistently been wearing chef whites for 5 minutes. She does for the next 20 minutes. So I don't know. I was a bit like, how does this mistake happen?
Right. Let's educate the kids listening for a bit, right? Let's add value to this show. Let's add value.
Oh, can I also point out my other thing?
Well, you can point it out, but then add like one of us, preferably not me because I don't know anything. But I actually want some proper historical facts and context around some of the flashbacks here, and I saw a TikTok about this, and apparently this is something that is like the standard thing that Americans just learn about in school, but I don't think we learn about this. So I'm going
to be honest with you. My history knowledge of this is literally, and this is going to sound so bad, you know that episode of Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, where they travel back and there's the Boston Tea Party? Is this associated with that? And also, there's a Lock and Key episode, and somehow I managed to get history right that I don't even know to explain to JayBee.
But so you don't know?
I'm not 100% confident that I know it. I took a bit of a guess, and then when we researched it afterwards, it was right.
Or maybe Smash knows.
Maybe. Okay, so what's the question?
What happened here? What
happened here?
What is this flashback?
No, like,
what's the historical context? I know there's British soldiers and there's American people.
Right, so it isn't... Oh my god, I'm gonna sound so...
I thought you knew this, Millie. I was saying this because I wanted us to sound smart and I wanted to add value to people listening to this. And you don't. No, you said so many facts about it when we were watching this movie, and now you're like, oh, well, there's a Sweet Life of Zack and Cody episode.
Well, now I don't want to sound like an absolute idiot, like publicly.
Stop covering your mouth. No.
I think I may have an idea.
Yeah, thank you.
Stop covering your mouth.
Okay, so I'm trying to remember, because we saw on there was the 3 flags. It was it America, England, and was it the French flag?
I'm not sure.
And the French had good food.
Because if so, there was a war, but I think it was like, I mean, I know the treaty was signed in like 1763, so it's like way out of the time that I think the flashback was. But that was the I think it's the 7 Years' War. I'm not 100%. I mean, there was also a French and Indian War back in the 1700s that included America and England. But
India.
There were like several wars going on at that stage, and it's a miracle that the world is still, somewhat managing decent amount of peace at this stage with how history was.
I'm
Does
sad.
that answer your question, JayBee?
No, I'm actually really sad. I thought you were going to give us a history lesson.
I said when we were watching this that I didn't know that my history was right, so I wasn't going into it.
You gave me a history lesson while we were watching this movie. And we get on this, and you just talk about Zack and Cody. And thankfully, Rihanna's given us some valuable history here, but I'm disappointed with you. I think I'm going to curse you to watch Return to Zombie Island twice.
No, the only part of like American English history that I was thinking of was like the independence thing and the origin of Independence Day and that kind of stuff, right?
I know that
I don't know.
We don't get taught these things in England.
No, we get taught the Tudors and Queen Victoria
Tudors.
and...
I came up with this theory. Okay, this was before I was homeschooled, because I got so fed up with learning, because all we ever learned about was World War I, World War II, and Henry VIII. So I came down to the conclusion, Henry VIII ate all of the pies and war broke out. That's what happened.
Well, Henry VIII was a bit of a dirty dog, you know, like he used to like scrunch up badges to make tennis balls, and then if he lost against people, he used to like have them bashed away. It's mad that guy was like, I just don't know.
All we learned about in school was the Titanic and
oh my
history of
god!
medicine.
You were probably in. Did you just get to watch the movie? The teacher just like fell asleep
got
in the
to
class.
We got to watch. Okay, and this is where I like show how sad I am. There was like a 4-hour YouTube documentary on the Titanic, and we watched 3.5 hours of it in lesson, and they were like, if you want to watch the other half an hour for homework, you can. And I was the only kid in class that did it.
Do you reckon they're gonna play this video in like food tech and like home economics?
Which is like Gourmet Ghost.
Yeah, like hey, JayBee Millie smashed Rihanna. Gourmet Ghost.
Oh god.
Say a swear word so someone gets in trouble for laughing.
Good things.
Well, that's disappointing. I'm so sorry that if everyone was coming here expecting a history lesson. All I know is that apparently the British were doing bad things. They had spies, and America was doing American things. They also had spies, and eventually we're at the state of the world now. So yeah, I guess that's my history lesson of the day.
Okay, going back a couple of minutes to the conversation we were having before the history bit. You know, I was talking about like noticing the colour of the sweater that wasn't meant to be there. We were watching the additional features on Daphne and Velma, and it showed you the wardrobe department, and they spelt Daphne wrong on the tag for Daphne's clothes, and I was furious. I was like, how can you get this wrong?
It's like Daphne.
It's Daphne. I was like, no, why? How have you done this? And JayBee took a picture of it because it was just so stupid. I was like, I genuinely was like, how can you make that mistake? It's in the title of the movie. Look up and see where you are.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. Like, it's Daphne. I hate it. I hate that these people get to disrespect such an iconic character.
Velma was spelled right.
And they get employed to work on such a project. Like, I would never spell Daphne's name wrong. Just saying.
Gosh.
I've put on weight this week. Right.
So, where are we? They're about to start the cooking show. All the tech goes down during the show, and the red ghost appears. All the guests like kind of run off and leave. And okay, I feel like I've skipped ahead a little bit there.
No, I don't think you have.
Because
Jada's made some pasta salad. There's the computer doing stuff. So yeah, I think you have got it right.
Okay. At this point, have they got the papers?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
They did.
I think it's so they get given the papers just before, because the old dude who I can't remember the name of, he shows up and he's like, hey, here's some papers, parchment papers that, you know, your ancestor had. And then Fred's like, oh, we'll save you and your wife a table next to us. And he had the exact same phone. I mean, I know this is an animation, so everyone has the exact same phone. But I noticed he had the exact same phone as the realtor guy. And when everything was going down, he was messing on his phone. When all the lights started going down, he was also on his phone. And that's when I started like putting 2 and 2 together and making a pineapple.
Hey.
You could be a
I
detective.
like how perceptive you two are. Like, noticing the Zombie Island house and then that as well. That's impressive.
This is really nice. I love this, actually. I think I do want to do more episodes of this. I think I love everyone's dynamic.
So, is this you agreeing that we're going to finish the movies after Courage, JayBee?
Oh yeah, we'll do 2002
We'll
movie.
take baby steps, yeah? We'll
do
go back
Scoob.
to the movies we missed. We'll do Scoob and the live action.
We'll do Boo Brothers.
I'm looking forward to Ghoul Skull.
I'm looking forward to
But
You know
Well,
what you guys like could potentially do? Okay, I don't know if this is an appropriate time to mention it, or like if you cut it out potentially, but you know, with Ghoul School, Kate is a big fan of it. She could be a special guest and talk about it with us.
Ooh.
That'd be
But then
fun.
I'd want to do it face cam, and if I'm talking about a movie face cam, I'm just going to be with my head down reading
It's
my
okay,
notes.
Daphne's not in that one. You're safe to say what you want.
Fair.
When are we ever safe, really? That's a philosophical question that people can ponder for
See,
forever.
we're about to come up to a point. We're not quite there yet, but I'm going to spoil it because we're on the topic of Daphne. We were watching this, and you know when she comes out in the kind of dress at the end?
Yeah.
Dress.
For the night, for the formal attire, like Fred's in the suit, Daphne's in the dress.
Yeah, we get it.
JayBee verbally said right out loud, Daphne looks hot, I'll write that down.
I need to remember this stuff.
Why do you need to write that down? You're mad.
Look, your mum's mad.
Okay, so they're trying to track down the ghost and the papers and stuff. So they split off into groups, and Shaggy and Scooby convince them to spend the time taking every book off the bookshelf. And they kind of get split up, like they start in like two groups, but they get split up further. So Fred gets called back to go and help at the house. Velma and Daphne end up at the groundskeeper's house, following that wire down to their house.
I'm sure.
Okay. Shaggy and Scooby's group find the trapdoor underneath the rug where the red ghost is hiding. And I feel like this kind of ends with Bobby Fillet saying that it's a good time for cookies or something. Now, when they had that blank paper, I got really excited because growing up, I don't know if any of you did, but I used to read tons and tons of books by the author Enid Blyton.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they were all about mysteries, and I used to love that. So I started off with the Famous Five, but there's also a Find Outers series. Did you hear about that? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
And in there's one book.
It's pretty much Scooby Doo, isn't it? Like, there's always, there's like
group
four,
of friends
like a
and a
group
dog.
of friends and a dog. Maybe Scooby Doo ripped it off.
And I think it's the Secret Room book. The group are learning about invisible ink, and the boy that gets trapped squeezes a lemon into a glass and writes a message, and then when you iron over it, it shows the ink. So when we saw this paper, I was like, oh my gosh, it's invisible ink. It's like the Enid Blyton book. And JayBee was like, maybe not. I was like, no, it is. It's going to be like Enid Blyton. Oh my gosh. And I was so excited because I used to love those books so much. So when the paper came out of the oven and it had the words on it, and then they said lemon juice as well, which I'd literally just said, I was so happy.
Can you see invisible ink with a black light?
I don't know.
Think so. I think it's, oh my gosh, that's just like, I remember something that I have of Scooby. It's a Scooby which came with a Shaggy pen, and it was I think it was like invisible ink or something, and then you press Shaggy's head, like the back of his head, and there was a light and it would show the message. That's just reminding me of that. I completely forgot I had that.
Might have had that as well, you know. But I think I was looking at it the other day because it's something I think that my younger brother let my mum throw away.
Oh, they're selling it with that clock. Is that the thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were two things that my brother let my mum throw away. A Shaggy doll with like a plastic head and the Scooby Doo burger cushion. And I think there was some other stuff. I don't know why that they just
I bought you the
threw it away.
burger cushion again there.
I know, you're
I'm a
amazing.
good
Thank
person.
you. 'Cause, you know what I mean? It's really nice. I appreciate it actually, and it's so sad though to think that if we broke up, some of our best moments we could like discover listening to these episodes again, or if one of us dies.
You're a really wonderful person, but let's keep the happy tone we started off with, okay? So there was also the hedge maze at this point, where Shaggy and Scooby are like, oh, who has these? And I feel like that's a good point, because, like, I don't know, I feel like they're going more iconically scary with this. Like,
The
you know,
Shining.
them not seeing the ghost initially. Yeah, The Shining was a hedge maze. I don't know, I feel like they've leveled up a little bit. I like it.
Yeah, like I'd say so. And the maze, I think mazes, because Scooby hasn't notoriously overdone them. I think it works really well.
Yeah. At this point, so when the maze is done, this is when they start to plan the unmasking. So they arrange to do another TV show. Daphne is like, you know what, Elton John's going to be there, just get it out, like tell everybody that he's going to be here. We need to get everybody in their seats and fill the room. Because at this point they've unmasked that there was a drone, and that's what the shushing sound was. But, you know, there had to be someone controlling the drone, so it's to reveal who that was. So, yeah, they plan this, like, big unmasking. They're going to use the technology to catch the ghost. JayBee, any thoughts? Anything to add?
After the unmasking of the drone?
Yeah, so they've unmasked the drone,
Well,
and they're
I'm not happy
planning...
about that, because I guess watching these you need to believe what they tell you to an extent. You need to just go with it in a lot of these situations. But I feel like the drone thing doesn't really make too much sense, because then it's like you understand it for certain scenes, but then when like the drone was creeping on them, or you know, you can refer to it as the drone now. You know, in that initial scene that we were saying looked spooky when they were just hanging out in the hedges. Is it like was the person spying on them at that point? Like, presumably they can see using the drone, so maybe they're just gathering intel.
Or that could have been the person, because they didn't hear the shushing sound, which is why Shaggy and Scooby didn't turn around and see it.
True, actually, I wasn't kind of and
because it did alternate. Like when they needed to pick the papers up, it was the person.
Yeah, because they were tripping over and they were tripping up. But yeah, I guess if you kind of rewatched it and thought, okay, this is them, this is the drone, I can believe it a bit more. But a lot of times I was just like, there's no way that even chasing them through the hedges, that it could have made it there that smoothly without crashing, unless the person had prior knowledge of the hedges layout beforehand.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was alright. And
especially
again,
if you think about they were doing it remotely, so they probably didn't even have a bird's eye view of where it was or anything.
No, it's just
so it was a bit kind of maybe
whack.
not. But yeah, and this is also where you find out it's not the groundskeeper, because them flipping the switch is what leads to that reveal.
Then again, though, that's what I like about it, the fact that it could still be anyone. Like, when it was unmasked, I was sure I knew who it was, but then when it wasn't, it's like, okay, so everyone now that's been in the same room as the monster that I've discounted no longer has an alibi.
Yeah.
So it could have been Chef Sue controlling it remotely. Like, I was so excited because now all my theories were thrown out the window, and I just love it. I gave people alibis, I discounted them, and now it's flipped on its head. Now it's like, oh my gosh, so it could literally be everyone that I discounted beforehand, making this again one of my favorite mysteries.
So Rihanna, did you have any thoughts at this point about that first unmasking?
Okay, so for a split second, I kind of got very distracted over the fact that, one, the detail in the hedges for the maze was really cool, because I feel like even though they obviously didn't, but it looked like they did each individual leaf. But other than that, like when Bobby Flay used the tongs to like save Nacho and Scooby, I was like, yeah, like that's it made sense why I was carrying them around randomly.
Yeah, it was like validation for him, like, woo, you did it.
And it was that little interaction as well between him and, is it I don't want to say her name wrong. Gaida, I think is that her name.
Jada?
I haven't written it down.
Jedediah. Night at the museum.
But that that little interaction where I was like, "See, I told you so." That was like, that's what everyone would do when they've been doubted. It would be like, "Ha, told you so. I knew they'd come in handy." Or that's just me being petty.
No,
but,
I'd be like that with all my siblings. I really would.
What didn't make sense to me, how can someone control a drone if they can't see what they're doing or hear what they're doing? That was one little flaw, because I was like, wait, at this stage, I definitely had two suspects who, I don't want to, I'll say when it gets there. But I was like, neither of them are there. How can they be controlling this thing? Because surely they'd be able to see or hear something and they would know what the plan was to be able to avoid it. It just didn't fully make sense, and that's the logical side of my brain coming in, where it's like, how exactly? Because unless he put trackers on all of the, the gang and the chefs, how would it know where to go?
Valid point. And I think you're right in what you're saying, because it was covered with a cloak, so it wouldn't have been able to see even if it had a camera. Not only that, but JayBee and I have a drone, and we tried to make a Mario Kart thing fly. And drones often don't take much weight. So to have a full weight of a costume, I feel like it'd struggle to fly competently.
I suppose, being fair to the movie, I guess it would be foolish to assume that this is a drone as we know drones in our world, because this is in the same continuity
we
as this
can't
advanced...
think about
Stop.
the things where there's been wiki-tikis and stuff
No, stop, because that isn't necessarily part of the continuity. I'm talking about this movie on its own. There's an advanced AI helping people cook. It's clearly somewhat sentient, so I suppose in a world with that technology, surely the drone may have more AI or autopilot than we would be used to in a similar drone in our world. So maybe that's it.
True. I'm honestly terrified of drones.
Yeah,
I'd want to attack drones.
Oh gosh. Yeah,
We got
I imagine
the-
that could be awful. The batteries just die and they drop from the sky or something. Just
Oh no, we got from, I think it was Lidl. They were really cheap, to be honest. But we got them, and we got 2, I think. And I tried flying it, and for some reason it kept coming towards me. And then I had a cut on my cheek from the little propellers.
Oh,
and I just went to my mum and I was like, I'm never having one again, and I threw it outside.
Aww.
Oh, that sounds awful. I for some reason think that I got one of the propellers hit one of our fingers. I can't remember whose it was.
It's because I was trying to be silly with it.
Oh yeah, and you got hurt.
But I liked it, I enjoyed the pain.
smASH, how did you feel about the first unmasking of the drone?
I don't love when they use drones, because sometimes I feel like it's a cop-out for them to be like, oh, well, this is obviously how it's done. And you all make great points. It's hey, whoever's controlling that cannot see, so they would not be accurate. That ghost would be flying up, down, and all around, and the gang could literally just sit and watch it, and it wouldn't even get them. But as for the weight thing, we have to remember though, yes, this is a different drone, but just a few movies ago with Curse of the Speed Demon, there was someone riding a drone. So, it's Scooby logic. That's what we're gonna put it to, is just Scooby logic with drones. But I don't know. I don't love drones in Scooby Doo, at least when they use it for the villains. I feel like I'd honestly take a projector rather than a drone, just because although I will say though that I do appreciate them being that's where the hissing came from. Like, okay, that was kind of a cool little detail that they, added into the movie. Because like if it was a drone and you didn't hear anything, like no, you're gonna hear something. I mean, even today we still don't have silent drones, no matter how much money you spend on it. So I don't know. There's my 2 cents on it.
No, I think that's really good. And then, as we're saying, they start to plan the unmasking. So they're inviting, like they say about having Elton John there. They try and fill all these seats so they can recreate the TV show, knowing that the ghost would appear for what it wants to do, which is to kind of, isn't it to prevent them outing DeLisle?
Well,
I'm looking at you, JayBee.
it's weird. I think it's the real estate. Well, I think the goal is they are planning on seizing that property under the guise that it's a historical landmark because DeLisle was loyal to the US and so it's a significant piece of American history. Whereas the revelation that DeLisle was allegedly a British spy would perhaps tarnish the building's reputation as well as a historical landmark, and so it couldn't be seized necessarily. I think that's the vibe.
Which then turns out to be untrue because it's revealed that it was false plans and things anyway because it didn't line up. But that's not known at this point to the villain when they are unmasked to be the creepy real estate guy. And at this point in my notes, I've just put obvious, like really big. But then there was the second unmasking of Henry Metcalf, and that I didn't see.
I did see it, but I never connected. Like, honestly, at this point, I completely forgot that they existed.
Yeah. Smash, how did you feel about the actual unmasking?
Sometimes this type of unmasking is a hit or miss. Sorry, I'm not gonna lie, I spaced out for 2 seconds. Have we talked about the double unmasking?
Yeah, the double unmasking. So the estates guy and then Henry Metcalf.
It's an old dude.
Okay, let me start that again. I'm sorry. Wow, distraction. Okay. So, as I was saying, these types of unmaskings for me are very hit or miss. Sometimes I'm like, okay, it was too obvious, so they needed to throw in a quick little plot twist. Or sometimes it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of fun. I will always now, whenever I see this happen in Scooby Doo, think of Dick Dastardly from Scoob. I'll just hear his voice. No one ever goes for the double unmasking. I'm like, no, they always do. But I thought this one was interesting because I feel like, if you paid attention, then like we were saying earlier, you would see that the one guy was on his phone while everybody was kind of freaking out and stuff. And so at first if you pay attention, you expect him, and then once it's unmasked, you're like, oh, okay, well that makes sense. And then it's unmasked again, you're like, oh wait, it was him. So I think this one, it did it well enough. Is it my favorite double unmasking? No, but I think overall it was a good enough, plot twist, I guess you could say.
Rihanna, did you enjoy the double unmasking?
I think I did, but I didn't as well. So one thing, I already figured it out quite quickly, which it bugs me so much that I did that. But at the same time, it was like, oh, hey, I got it right. And it was still a little bit of a shock that I was right, because it's Scooby Doo, so anything is possible. But I was like, it's a bit of a far-fetched thing. I was honestly thinking of, in Scooby Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed, where it was like Jonathan Jacobo underneath, I can't remember the woman's name, the reporter woman. I was thinking of that. That's it. Thank you. And I was wondering though, where was the guy's wife? She just suddenly disappeared. She was like, okay, I'm being arrested. Like, I'm going. I'm taking all of your money and I'm leaving and I'm going to go do something else with my life because I'm fed up with your schemes. But, I enjoyed it, and I'm not going to lie, part of me was very distracted about, like, Daphne and Velma's dresses because I really liked them. And with Velma's, though, I have one, like, design thing that I would have liked them to do. Instead of just having a big, like, bow around it, take that bow off and put possibly, like, the constellations on, like, the bottom skirt of the dress. I feel like that would have been more Velma, but oh well. I did enjoy it, though, and I feel like it wrapped everything up quite nicely.
Yeah, and then I don't know, the gang are leaving, and then it ends with the annoying sleep apnea machine going shh, and the guy, and
I think you're being too quick to dismiss Daphne's dress, Millie, because it is gorgeous. It's like a ball gown, and it's perfectly cut. There's like sequin things. It's like a prom dress from the heavens.
Look, I think your 5 exclamation marks where it says formal Daphne is enough attention brought to that dress.
No, we're not. Let's not.
Not to mention the 6 exclamation marks after Chef Daphne.
Can you stop going through my notes in these episodes and exposing? Because this is going to be special behind the scenes stuff when the series ends. So you're robbing people of the beauty that is my notes. But I just think that formal Daphne is a gift from God. And again, it's another Funko Pop that we could have. Funko. So get on it. We need it. That's what we need.
Why aren't you crying for the Fred formal attire?
Well, to be fair, I'd go for Fred formal attire because he looked like a rather dashing.
Like, that was probably the best Fred's looks.
Apart from Robbie
Because
ML.
they normally just like thrown in the same outfit over and over again. This time they actually did something good.
No, but Robbie ML is a dish, and you can't tell me otherwise.
I'm not trying to tell you otherwise.
So that's probably the best Fred's ever looked, except for maybe Man of Substance. But I think they kind of
no, you overrate that.
Why are you staring at me like that? Okay, let's just agree that formal Daphne is good, and we'll leave it like that. Funko Pop. No, but more than that, 20th anniversary editions of the 2002 Funko Pops. We need Scrappysaurus Rex. We need Daphne, Fred, Velma, Shaggy. If you want, give us a Scooby, right? Yeah, they love.
Well, it is Scooby Doo.
Yeah, but we've got enough Scooby.
We need more Scooby. At least I need more Scooby. Don't deprive me.
An Emil Mondavarius Funko Pop. The chase can be them with a Scrappy in the belly.
What about the Damon Writers? Where's that going?
Okay, hear me out here. Simply, Funko Soda of the Spooky Demons. The chase is holding a Damon Writers. That's what I'll say about that.
That'd be fun.
Like, please, like they must acknowledge the 2002 20th anniversary. They must, like, okay, Smash. Annie, I've got a question for you. Actually, maybe Rihanna will know as well. Have they ever done anything special for that movie? Because I know that they did a Blu-ray release. Was that for a particular anniversary or something, or did they just do it?
I feel like they just did it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look at the year that came out, but I don't remember them specifically being like, and for the anniversary, here it is on Blu-ray.
We need that.
Okay, so JayBee, back on task. Gourmet Ghost, you're always first. Smash or pass?
We need a Luna Ghost Funko Pop as well. Okay. Here's my verdict. I was very, very skeptical about this movie going in because of my own prejudices. I didn't know if Bobby Flay was a topical person. I didn't know about them. I thought that they would get Gordon Ramsay or Jamie Oliver, even though that would have been the most boring movie ever. But I actually grew to really like Bobby Flay. Now, it didn't convince me to search their work and look at any of their shows, but as a character in this movie, I found them very likable, and I really did feel sorry for them. Like, there's a sequence where I think it's the first time the ghost attacks the kitchen and everyone starts to leave, and they just have this kind of somber moment where they're just cuddling their cat and there's no jokes. They just kind of let it rest. Like, it really made this person, ironically enough, that I'm not interested in it, but it made this person seem real, and I love that. Also, had one of my favorite mysteries for a while. So I think it would be outrageous of me to do anything but smash this movie. So I will smash Scooby Doo and the Gourmet Ghost. Millie, would you smash or pass Scooby Doo and the Gourmet Ghost?
No, I don't know why, but I was really excited going into this movie. I think, like, I don't know, like, I'm looking up at the shelf and I feel like I'd had enough of Batman and enough of Lego, and I was ready to get back to, like, real Scooby, like, no features, like Kiss and stuff like that, like, just real Scooby. And so to get a cold opening, then the titles, then the Mystery Machine, it was, like, sold to me before it even started that I wanted to say smash for this movie. I agree with JayBee that the mystery was really good. I like how they did something unique with, like, not showing the ghost to the gang. I like the drone and, like, as a twist unmasking. Then that wasn't the only twist, because I feel like to have just unmasked the real estate one was just too obvious. So to not just give us one twist with the drone, but then the second twist of the writer. Also to get that kick of nostalgia as well with other detective things like Enid Blyton and stuff. I feel like to engage that level of nostalgia as well, which was really exciting. This can't be anything other than a smash for me as well.
Woo!
So, Rihanna, you next. Would you say smash or pass for Scooby Doo and the Gourmet Ghost?
Okay, so first of all, I want to use one of my puns because I've not used a lot of them, but they really cooked up a storm with this movie. I loved it from the start. When I first got the DVD of it, I saw, the cover and everything, and I'm a sucker for, like, really nice DVD covers because it just looks so nice on my Scooby shelf. And I like just looking at it and staring at it, and that, things from the very beginning to even right at the end. Now, I'm not sure. Did you guys watch the credits?
Yeah, we
think...
watched it all the way through, and then the bonus features at the end as well.
Yes, but I don't remember too much of note about it.
There was under the, I think it was the animation studios. I think it was under one of the sectors. It was one, and then straight under it, the other one, Nutmeg Creative and Salami Studios. And I was like, that is perfect for this movie. But it's just everything, and I really did enjoy the fact that Kate Micucci I feel like she spoke in her normal, natural voice as well in this movie, and it wasn't irritating. I really enjoyed everything about it, and
that's amazing.
there were puns in it.
What you just said there about Velma's voice, like, it hadn't registered with me that it was back to normal.
Last
but, like,
movie, it was awful.
Yeah, like, I feel like I only notice when I don't like it, but you've just made a really valid point there that Velma was good in this one, like, really good.
She was, and what's nice is she had, like, her little quirks, but she also didn't go over the top with arguing, and I enjoyed the dynamics between all the characters. I loved Nacho the cat. I wish we saw more of the other cat, though, that got lost in the maze, because that cat was beautiful. I wish I wasn't allergic to cats because I want one. Although I'm also, like, side note with Nacho the cat, I want to get a tortoise and call it Tortilla. So
that'd be funny.
So cute. My hairdresser has a tortoise, and, like, when I just get my hair done at her house, and, like, it goes around the garden. You love watching it, don't you, JayBee?
Yeah, it's just so sweet. But I would love to get my dream, like, pet situation would be the reptile room from the series of unfortunate events.
My biggest fear is snakes, and JayBee's like, "Oh, I want a pet snake." I was like, "I'd leave. I wouldn't have a choice."
Not even the incredibly deadly viper.
Deal with it.
No snakes. They're mean.
Thank you. I agree.
Yeah, but I can charm them.
No, you can't.
But I also loved the fact that in this movie they kept the food where it still looked really delicious, and I wish I could just reach through and start eating it because it looked really nice. So, taking all the factors into it, other than the little incident I had with the audio, which I don't know if it was my DVD or because it was only like one or two characters that consistently had that, especially early on in the movie. But I would smash it.
Ooh, just so far that's 3 out of 3. Okay.
Uh-oh. Pressure's on.
Finally. Smash. Would you say smash or pass for Scooby-Doo and the Gourmet Ghost?
So I remember this movie came out. It was supposed to come out a week after I actually went to my first like comic convention, and I started seeing that people here in America were getting their copies early, and so I was out of town, you know, because I was at the convention and stuff, and I was with friends, and so one night I was like, can we go to Walmart? I want to see if I can find the movie. And so, like, we made a trip out of it. And, I mean, we got other stuff as well. But I didn't end up finding it that night. And then we came back home Sunday. And that Monday, I went to the Walmart here. Well, one of the Walmarts. We have 3 Walmarts in my town. But we went to the closest one. And it was there. It was out early. I mean, by that point, it was only a day early. But so I went and got it and went and watched it. And I wouldn't say it's one of my absolute favorites, but I was like just so excited to just get out of the crossovers and the mashups and the guest stars. I mean, yes, it does have guest stars too, but it just felt like the last few years of Scooby-Doo, it was like, either it's wrestling, or we're crossing over with another cartoon, or we're gonna make them Lego, or, you know, it was just like, at that point, I was like, I'm ready just for a Scooby-Doo movie, like Loch Ness Monster, like Aloha, like, you know, just pure Scooby-Doo. It's like, the monster doesn't need to be real, it doesn't need to be real supernatural stuff, I just need classic Scooby-Doo at this point, where we're not putting all of our money and focus on getting this big name in our movie or mashing it up with another big name. And this did it for me. I was like, because I mean, we had like Shaggy Showdown, but that one still just didn't quite scratch that itch for me. And this one did it. And honestly, I love the writer of this movie. So this movie was written by Tim Sheridan, who also wrote the next one, which is The Curse of the 13th Ghost. And I fell in love with this guy and his writing for Scooby-Doo. I've actually talked to him before. He and I have kind of exchanged conversation and stuff. And this Tim grew up with Scooby-Doo, and so when he got asked to do this one, you know, he was like, "All right, I'm gonna do just classic Scooby-Doo, you know, just like classic Scooby-Doo." He did say they kind of were like, we're gonna do a food movie, and I don't know if they had already had these guests lined up or if he himself. I want to say actually Tim Sheridan was the person that was like, hey, I actually like can get in contact with some chefs and whatever. Let me see who I can pull into this. And so it might have been him, don't take my word for it, but he might have been the reason for some of the guests in this movie. But anyway, yeah, so Tim Sheridan, he knows his classic Scooby-Doo feel and stuff, and so I don't know, this one, again, I wouldn't say is anything that special, but I would highly recommend this movie that's just wanting a pure Scooby-Doo movie. You know, you don't want any crazy, twisted, dark elements in it. You don't want any big name celebrities or crossovers or something, unless you're a huge fan of Bobby Flay and the woman. Sorry, girl, can't say your name. You're lovely. So yeah, I would highly recommend this movie. If anyone's like, you know, just one day, I want a Saturday morning cartoon. Give me a movie. I mean, would it be my first one? No, but it'd be my first one within the more newer Scooby-Doo movies within the last like 5 years. I'd be like Gourmet Ghost, it's just pure. It's just pure Scooby Doo. So all that said and done, I will definitely smash this one as well.
Hey, that is amazing. Do you reckon we could interview them?
Yes, actually, fun fact. I was supposed to interview him for my podcast I have been doing, which I gotta decide what the heck I'm gonna do with that now, because I have no idea what I'm gonna do with my podcast. So if anybody has suggestions or y'all want to talk about it, we can get another podcast going back up again. That'd be
We
great.
could record it back to back after these, we could just like go crazy, we get energy drinks in, like make it a bit fun.
Marathon. But yeah, I was supposed to interview him once we got into like the 13 Ghosts era of Scooby Doo. I'm gonna keep my lips sealed because he's trusting me with some information. But I'm sure I could talk to him and be like, "Hey, I'm doing this other podcast, separate from what you were gonna come talk about what you're doing." But I could message him and be like, "How you doing? You want to come talk with us?" I mean, that even might be great since we're just getting through his movies that he's done.
Yeah, that would actually be amazing, and it's so I kind of love how you've mentioned the prospect of that after I've been like singing praises about the movie and we've all smashed it, so it's not even like shrouded by a bias like, oh, we might get this person on, no one say anything mean. Like,
True.
I love that. That's awesome. But yeah, I guess no pressure, but that would be amazing, and that's 4 smashes, which I think is
it's
not.
our first time, right?
Is it our first time for smash? I don't know.
I feel like I've not said smash on a movie for a while,
Well, we'll see.
I feel like this is the first unanimous, like, for the 4 of us.
This is the uber smash, the super smash. It's Ultra Instinct. That's what it'll be.
True.
Okay, and with that, the next episode is gonna be the 3rd.
It's Scoob. I've got it written down.
Oh,
Why are
sorry.
you looking? Why are you like
Scooby
pointing?
Doo and the Curse of the 13th Ghost.
Which is a 2019 movie, so
So
very
we're almost
recent.
up to
Very
date.
recent.
I am so excited for that one.
I want to watch a couple of episodes of the 13 Ghosts.
Well, this is
of Scooby
actually
Doo
mad. I
first.
don't want to say too much about this. 'Cause obviously, we've kind of got anxieties around announcing things before they're like recorded and set in stone. But let's just say we have 2 interviews in the works. One, actually no, it doesn't require me. But one, I've committed myself to watching 2 whole series of Scooby Doo in preparation for. And the other one, which is going to give it away, but like let's just leave it ambiguous, requires a read through of an entire novel. Which, to make it easier,
No, we
we've
decided to read 2 novels, even
Yeah,
though they...
true. So,
One.
yeah. So yeah, that's what that is. What it is. But it's literally 2 novels, 2 seasons. But I'm committed again that before Curse of the 13th Ghost, we will have rewatched. In my case, I don't know if it's watched for the first time in your case, Miller.
No, I love the 13 Ghosts of Scooby Doo.
Oh, so yeah, we
It's
will
one of my nostalgia ones. So,
commit ourselves
but
to
not
another.
to the level Zombie Island is. So I'm not going completely insane about having to watch this movie.
Are you gonna watch Zombie Island before Return to Zombie Island? That's brave.
Yes, I am.
Oh, you actually?
Yes.
Oh, you're.
That's what I'm going to do.
Thank you.
That's. Oh, I'm
It's
scared.
a normal thing to do. They want to put Zombie Island in the title. They're going to have something to compare it to, and I'm not going to be happy about it. Let me tell you.
It's the one movie I haven't actually watched it still in its plastic cover because
You've
I
literally
have
found
been
my
terrified.
twin.
It's like the Curse of the
No,
13th
what?
Ghost.
Rihanna.
Rihanna, I am like, I can't believe the similarities that I have with you. That's
Yeah,
the
but
one
how
movie
nearly
that
got
I have
smashed. I've said that so
to
many
watch
times about
because
Smash.
I love the Zombie Island movie so much, and I'm so happy that I
think we
found someone
found our
else that's not watched
soulmate.
it.
We have found our soulmates doing this show. That's mad.
That's amazing. I love that.
I like legitimately between the Return to Zombie Island and I will admit with the Curse of the 13th Ghost, I have been terrified to watch it, but I remember when I did watch it for the first time, I'm not going to spoil anything about how I feel about it, but it wasn't as bad. as I thought it would be. But there's 2 characters which I do wish weren't in it, because I feel like it should have just been another 13 Ghost episode. But that's for the next.
Yeah. And spoiler alert about the next one. There is my top 5 wish list, but Daphne Blake Funko Pop's in that.
Oh, I love her outfit in the next
Yes.
movie.
Yeah.
Oh my
I've
gosh.
not seen the next movie.
Yes, well done, Millie. Everyone agrees. It's banging. It's the stuff of legends.
I've not seen the
Oh,
next 2.
can you imagine Sarah Michelle Gellar or Kate Melton in that outfit as Daphne? Come on.
That would just be Christmas Day. Oh, what should I say? A Hanukkah, Diwali? That would be Diwali for me.
DeValley.
You agree, Millie?
No. I don't know. I've not seen the outfit.
Wow. It's pretty messed up if you ask me. We should all support each other, really. I don't know why you have to bring people down.
I don't support you and your weird gala tendencies.
It's pretty messed up.
Today we were watching some
my
movie.
God.
I can't remember what it was, but he was like, I'd walk over glass for an entire mile just to get to shake her hand, and it's like, just calm
It
down.
was
Oh
the
my
movie.
God.
I know
Please
what you
just
did.
calm down. It's not
You know,
necessary.
people need information. It was the movie I Know What You Did Last Summer, which I've heard so many amazing things about, but it annoyed me. I thought it was it was the stupidest movie I've ever watched. Every single character was an idiot in it. I was more angry watching it than scared.
Isn't that horror movies though? Every character is an idiot.
It just doesn't work. Like, everyone doesn't have it. It's just nuts. I hated it.
So, wrapping up this episode, does anybody have any community news?
I'll go last.
I guess, if that means I'll start with me. I know nothing, and I'm happy to know nothing. Smash, do you have any community
You know
news?
nothing and you're happy to know nothing.
We know nothing and we love it. No, I'm boring right now. So there's that.
Rihanna, do you have any community news?
I'm not sure if this is really news as such, but apparently there's new villain masks coming out.
Ah.
Oh, that's right.
And
Look at you
it
go.
looks so cool.
They
I
do.
want one.
I want them all.
They're probably where do you find those? Because I think who was it? I think I saw Cameron 2 sharing it on Facebook, and I just assumed it was yet another thing that was
Like
going to be like
Walmart.
an American type deal.
I think a specific like store, like an online store or brand or something makes them, because they do it every year, and like every year they keep adding more villains to their lineup. So I don't know if you'd be able to just like order them and have them shipped out.
And from what I've seen, it's not just like masks as well. There's like a full-on like ghost clown outfit, isn't there? Which does look
Yeah.
incredible.
Along with the creeper, which
Yes.
I'm
That's
like,
JayBee for Halloween.
oh,
What's
I
the
wish
creepy-
I could have it now. So I have plans, which know.
That doesn't sound suspicious at all.
plans.
I'll have to tell you when we're not recording because it's an evil genius plan.
Ah.
Pull out the mystery machine.
I need some evil genius plans.
So, JayBee, you asked if you could go last. What's your community news?
Well, I thought I was going to be waiting a long time, but I guess if this counts as community news, Millie and I recently appeared on the Daphne 2 live stream,
Woo!
which is
That's
hosted
right.
by Tiger Singh on Instagram. I guess I'll leave a link to their page in the description down below, and I think you can rewatch it. Like, I'd say
Yes.
probably re-listen to it until we're talking about collectibles, because we just couldn't figure out how to live stream that properly, because there was 2 of us, and we're like filming. Ooh, I feel like an idiot here. Portrait as opposed to landscape. So visually, we were a mess, but I think that was a lot of fun to do. I don't think I should ever do anything live again. It was fun, I guess. What did everyone think about that? Just to kind of, I don't know if we're building hype around it, but it's community stuff.
I was just trying to hide the entire time because I hate looking at myself. Like, unless I'm more prepared. Like, for the Grabstein interview, it was fine because I was prepared. But, like, with this, I was just like, I'm going to hide. So like you only ever see maximum half my face.
Oh, come on. We gotta see your beautiful face.
But it was mad though because our chat like disappeared halfway through, so we couldn't see what people were typing.
I was like trying to drag Rihanna into like, hey, while you're here, like, can you agree to do all the episodes? Because JayBee's like trying to build an alliance here, and I couldn't see the comments. And like Tiger was saying like, oh, Smash has commented and Rihanna's commented. I was like, I know, but I can't say what this.
I was disappointed with that episode actually because I felt like I had more to say. Probably not for the best because I was going off on one. But I just feel like I just feel like it was rushed. Like the ending was rushed very quickly.
I think it's just because we have a really bad habit of speaking a lot. Like we're nearly at the 2-hour mark with this as well now.
Well, yeah.
And like they had an hour and we just talk.
Well, I wasn't told that we had an hour. They said typically their episodes last like 45 to like an hour. So it's like, okay, well, typically our episodes, like our shortest episode has been like 50 minutes. Our longest episode has been the bigger part of 3.5 hours. So I don't know.
Apologies, Smash.
It was fun.
Oh no.
But I just thought the ending was such a letdown because I was like, I was talking about stuff and I had more to say. And then he was like, oh, okay, I've got an announcement, guys. I'm interviewing this guy. And it's like, okay, thanks.
I'm not as negative as JayBee.
Oh, and also, after inviting podcasters / content creators in the Scooby universe onto the show, halfway through interviewing us, they're like, oh yeah, and if you guys have seen Nikki Blake's Scooby Addicts panel, they make the best Scooby content. I was like, you really know how to make a guest feel special, don't you?
JayBee, how come they don't watch this episode? You're so cruel.
Well, no, this is community news. I'm discussing and reflecting upon our time at the show. What I've said, include it, watch it. It was a good laugh. We show off some of our really cool collectibles. There were some things that I wasn't happy about that I'm conversing about.
Well, I think it was really nice. It was really kind of them to invite us on. They thought of some really nice questions that were really fun to answer. Please go and watch it.
I'd go back on. It was fun.
It was really funny.
It was fun.
To be fair, JayBee and I ended up arguing for like a good half of it. And they were really polite. They were like, oh, you know, it's really raw between you two. It's good. They were trying to find the politest way possible of saying, oh my god, you two argue a lot. So that was funny.
No, I like Tiger Singh an awful lot, you know. And it was really nice to be invited onto that show. And I like mentioned it there as well. Going onto the Scooby Addicts panel, without going on that prior, I don't think I would have been as comfortable doing the Marty Grabstein interview, face cam wise. So equally, having the experience from there, I feel like I'm not ready yet, but I feel like I'm more comfortable with the prospect of live streaming. So definitely love you, Tiger Singh. You know what I mean? Like, Indians got to stick together. You know, Daphne fans got to stick together. You're a real one. But I was just reflecting on our time, and everyone listening to this should watch that because it was a laugh, and I think the collectibles we showed were just amazing. So, yeah.
And that's it for community news. Thank you so much for listening. Please go and watch Tiger's live stream on Instagram because it was really good.
It was good.
And
it was good.
We will be back next week for Scooby Doo and the Curse of the 13th Ghost, which we're really looking forward to. So yeah, thank you for listening. Goodbye. Woo.